Awesome.
Cool. All right. All right. All right. Want to start, Jen Rody?
Yeah, let's just start with a little prayer and intention setting.
Good. Jen and I are feeling fiery.
We're feeling fiery and excited, and we just want to really unify the group as best as possible and get us all empowered and prepared. So,
I should mute everyone while we're at it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, then we'll get started. Great. All right, so let's just go ahead and just close our eyes for a moment and just really connect in. Let's just connect in with everyone from all around the globe right now who's present on this call, and everyone that'll also be watching it later virtually as well. And just feel yourself really syncing up and with everyone here. And God, we just thank you for bringing us together. We thank you for gathering us together today from all across the world. And God, we just ask that your heart, your intention for each and every one of us, that we would be banded together, that we would be unified, that the wheat would be separating out from the chaff at this time, and that you would be really grounding and anchoring us in to our highest and best service for you and the highest and best service for the collective at this time. God, we ask that our ears and our eyes and our minds would be completely open to you at this time. We ask that there would be no interference at all on this call from the enemy. And we just ask that we would be able to hear one another and to see one another, to feel one another, and to co-create and prosper together. God, we just call in abundance and prosperity for every single person on this call. We call in peace and understanding, compassion, and love, and commitment, that everyone would be able to hear you clearly.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen Rody. So yeah, guys, it's game time. It's game time, man. And
it's go time.
You know, I gotta say, we're feeling fiery, you know, we're feeling all fired up.
We're feeling excited.
All of you are in 5D business school. It's your fault. It's your fault. You're getting us fired up.
Thank you. And we've got about 39 in right now. So
pulling our string and you're getting us going.
So fun.
You're the fuel on our fire.
We're having so much fun.
And that led to us getting blocked on Facebook for 24 hours. So it's like, you know, we're telling everyone like, go for it, go for it, go for it. And we're seeing, you know, what comes up for people when you're really, really held to speaking your truth. And to not hiding, even when it's scary and even when it's uncomfortable, and even if you don't know fully what's happening. You know, we have this, you know, we tend to, well, why did they say they blocked me? Well, it was a post. It was on one of my posts. It was the one that's got 170 shares on it right now. And it gets to a certain point where they get a few hundred, or I think this one's at like 400 comments or something, where I can't really track what's going on anymore. I can't really find anything, and so I'm kind of like going faster through it. And there was this one guy that just kind of wasn't getting it. He was arguing with me about stupid things. And I said, look, man, basically I said, if you don't know what's going on right now, like if you're really not able to pay attention, you know, this is dangerous. And you're going to find yourself walking into the proverbial gas chamber, holding a bar of soap, wondering how to turn the water on. You know, like it's time to pay attention right now. And I saw, you know, it's like, it's a really interesting, I've never been in Facebook jail before, which is kind of surprising, but you know, it's like this weird thing where I can look, but I can't touch. And I like to get involved, you know, especially when I see something that I really like to, you know, something that inspires me, you know, I like to promote for them. And I like to, you know, by the way, like you guys should all be in a place right now. You know how hard it is to speak your, you know, a dangerous truth, right? And so please, like for your fellow awakened beings out there, if you see something that you're like, wow, that looks, wow, good for them, but you know, you're kind of afraid to even like it or comment on it, just like give them that pat on the back, you know, give them that social proof, and you know, like, hit the love sign, comment on it, just
even
say
if it's
good
a
job.
quick, I agree. Yes, you're right. Even a quick comment.
Nice.
Just anybody that's speaking truth right now, if
I agree.
You know it, Yeah,
even if,
support.
it's like, and even if, somebody, I've noticed that if like the first like 5 people come on, they're like, blah, 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 being,
Negative.
negative,
Mhm.
I've noticed that people won't speak up after that. But like,
Right.
that's when I'll jump in and start, sticking up for somebody. So, yeah,
And
I saw.
and people, that's the whole thing. That's the whole real problem with the world right now, is that people
Yeah, it's all
function
about
off
peer
of
pressure.
peer pressure. Exactly. And most people can't think for themselves.
So I saw here.
Yeah.
Here's what's important to know, you guys. And this was one of the. This is a post that I saw. I don't know, about an hour ago. That just said, there's a division happening right now, and we're being forced to pick sides. And basically, the sides are either I believe in the government and the mainstream media, or I believe in the conspiracy theorists.
Yep.
Like it's like, really, we either believe what we're told on TV, which I don't know how people can still do that, or we understand that there's probably something else going on here.
Yep.
And so, and I mean, you all are seeing the division too. I mean, it's hard to hide right now. People are really getting fiery, and people are coming out of the closet as, closet conspiracy theorists, and, closet preppers, and it's like these people have been made fun of for years and decades. I mean, look at I mean, all of anybody who's been out there as a conspiracy theorist, they're ridiculed, but, yeah, who owns you exactly? Who are you afraid of seeing what you're posting? Who are you afraid of what they think? That person owns you. I just unfriended one of my closest friends the other day, because he's on the wrong side of history right now. And it was getting too irritating, and so I unfriended him. I sent him an email. I was like, dude, you're on the wrong side of history, man.
So this is really biblical. So I want to get into both the biblical, what I see is it's very biblical. But in this, just so you know, the Bible's not the only book that prophesied this time frame. I'm going to use biblical references, quite honestly, because it's the one that I'm most familiar with. But this is not the only prophecy, book that has prophesied this time frame, right? And in the Bible, it says the wheat will be separated from the chaff, right? And it doesn't say, when the wheat's separating from the chaff, it does not say to be lukewarm in the separation. The separation was never intended to be lukewarm or to look lukewarm. I'm still seeing some people out there that are going like, I just want to be the love and light in the middle and create the space for harmony in this. And, that's really great and really nice in theory. But it's not where
it's not going to move the needle.
Well, it's not where we're actually at right now. It's not real. It's not grounded. It's not integrated. We're going to be taking sides right now. We are in World War III. We are. And so taking a side is actually a really important thing. And I'm sure you've all heard the phrase, you've got to stand for something or you will fall. Yeah, the wait and see. Exactly. Thank you, Nicole. You've got to stand for something or you will fall for anything. And there are going to be a lot of people that are going to fall for anything right now. It is already happening, right? And so, this is the shift that, I was shown many years ago, and I know many of you were shown it as well, of the shift to, the service to others path would be shifting into 5D positive, and the service to self path would be shifting into 5D negative. Now, these are polarity shifts. These are two very polarized shifts. There's no middle ground here, and there's not meant to be a middle ground. And the truth is that what actually creates the 0 point.
If you try to stay in the middle ground, you will be ripped in half.
Yeah. So the truth is what actually creates the balance, what actually creates the 0 point that collapses the polarity is actually going to be the service to others path getting fully polarized in 5D positive, and the service to others path getting fully polarized into 5D negative. And the more of us that can polarize into 5D positive, which is not false positive, I want to be really, really clear about that. 5D is not fake spirituality. It's not fluffy. It's not comfy. This is not what 5D, there's a big misunderstanding out there about what 5D is and what 5D isn't. 5D is young, spiritual, about adulthood for this planet.
It's edgy and it's uncomfortable. And it doesn't look the way that a lot of people have thought it was going to look.
Spirituality, 3D to 4D spirituality looks like The Secret, which is giving somebody something fluffy and feel good to get out of their comfort zone and venture off into something new, right? Spiritual 4D to 5D is spiritual adulthood. It's an uncomfortable spirituality. It is truth.
Yep.
It is truth or it is nothing.
Yeah, it's speaking your truth. It's speaking your truth all the time and just being real and not giving in to peer pressure and not, you know, wavering on
Not being afraid of what people are going to think.
Yeah, not being afraid of what people are thinking. And that's
say about you.
what we're in. And the more of us that can really transition into that in a powerful way, we're going to see those on service to self path transitioning into their 5D negative, which is the burn off. And that is a good thing. You know, I'm still seeing a lot of people saying, well, yeah, okay, here's the thing too, with 5D negative, there is a process to everything, right? Those that have done like horrible, horrific, beyond horrific crimes against humanity from a lower dimensional perspective, yes, they must experience justice. And even from a higher dimensional perspective, they must experience a burn off that is going to be painful and uncomfortable for them. This is even higher dimensional truth, okay? There's no way around it. And if they were to somehow try to bypass that, there would be no way for them to possibly go through their graduation process or make it home, right? And maybe some of them make it home, maybe some of them won't, maybe some of them will be recycled. There's a lot of talk about this, but here's what I know. There's no way for them to make it through a transition without this. They cannot skip this step in the same way that we cannot skip 5D positive young spiritual adulthood. They cannot skip it. So it's actually a very important rite of passage for them. After they're going through that, can we pray for them? Can we send them love and light? Can we honor them? Can we honor their higher journey? Sure. Should we pray for our enemies? Did Jesus say pray for our enemies? Yes, absolutely. Okay. But there's a process in this. And I want to make sure that nobody's spiritual bypassing and skipping through, because I think it's really, really important. And that being said, I'm seeing a lot of questions right now going into what can I do right now? So what are we being called to do and what can we do? And I am all for integration. I'm all for balance. I'm all for multidimensional integration, which to me really simply is, you know, am I going to pray and am I going to hope and am I going to intend and am I going to hold the highest and best timeline? Absolutely. Am I going to pray for the best? Absolutely. Am I going to hold that? Okay, absolutely. And at the same time, am I going to look at the potential reality of darkness that's showing up? And am I going to plan for the worst? Yes, I am, because I think it's really, really important, because if you have a plan, then you know what to do. And that is empowering right now. You know, in the same way that, you know, when we're in school and they have a plan for what would you do if there was a fire drill? What would you do if there was a fire? You have a fire drill and you plan. It's a really smart thing to do, because otherwise you're going to have kids hiding under their desks and kids are going to die if there's a fire that comes into that school.
Now, we've never had a fire in our school, but if a fire, like the time to teach people how to do a fire drill is not during a fire.
No.
The time to plan for a pandemic is not during a pandemic.
No.
The time to prepare yourself for a fascist takeover or for a war is not during the fascist takeover or the war.
It's not. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, if for those of us that have been paying attention for the last 2 decades, you know, I really started following this stuff since 9/11, and I was like, there's something not right here.
No.
And I have had my finger on the pulse of it for the last 2 decades. And guys, they've been talking about this stuff for decades. This is I don't know
if you guys have seen the meme going around, but there's a New World Order book from, I think it's literally called like the New World Order. I should post it in the group, from 1989. And I mean, it talks about, this is what we're going to do. This is the game. I mean, it's literally talking about it in the book in 1989. This is the game plan. It's playing out. There's all these key pieces that are playing out right now, right? You can't make this stuff up.
It's funny. The UN just created I think it's like UNNWO.com or something. They just created a UN. It's like United Nations New World Order website that just came out. I mean, but if you look at the Rockefeller document from, I think, 2010,
yep.
It's called Lockstep, if you haven't checked it out.
We're in
I think
lockstep.
it's page 18. It talks about exactly what's happening right now, step by step by step. Like, so this has been planned.
Yep, and they're going to
know?
keep going through and pushing toward the other steps that they've already written
And
about.
those who are not willing to look at something like that and say, okay, maybe I don't believe the mainstream media, or maybe I don't believe the government or the scientists that are bought and paid for by Bill Gates, or this, we have to be prepared right now.
Yeah.
So Jen, what do you want to?
Yeah, so we just, and we want this to be a space to, a lot of you have been sharing in the group too, like different petitions you have or different resources. We want you to use the Synergy Mission Global group. Please share the resources that you have, because we all are getting different pieces of information and different resources, and we're all in different places too. So there are different, I'm hearing really different things going on in the US, even between California and Illinois and New York versus some of the more, Republican states. And I'm hearing different things going on in Canada and Europe and Australia. And I'm getting private messages from all these different things. So, please share different resources. But, I think what are some basic things that we can do and that Ben and I are doing? I wanted to share with you some of those things. And definitely those of you that I know, a lot of you have been really active in this, that have more information you want to share, feel free to share in the chat as well, or even to raise a hand in a little bit. We'll have you all raise hands. But what are some basic things that we can do? I think, number one, and I did bring this up in the group this week, is contact if you're in the US, contact a constitutional lawyer in your area, in your jurisdiction. At least have one on call.
So if someone wants to take notes on this, and if you could post it in the group afterwards, that would be great.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, if anybody's feeling called. Yeah, constitutional lawyer. You should have a constitutional lawyer or equivalent. I'm just going to speak for the US right now, or equivalent of that. Who would you call if you're in a bind and if somebody shows up at your home, right? Or if you ended up in a situation,
I would say
who would you call?
Even before that,
yeah.
Even before having somebody to call when someone shows up, get a consultation. Jen and I are actually, I've messaged somebody about getting a consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Consult with a lawyer who understands how to fight the government.
How do you speak? What can you say? What can you not say? You want to have these questions answered ahead of time for you, right? So then
we've seen several videos recently of police making up some excuse.
Police, people in hospitals.
To handcuff. I mean, there's a couple in Canada that the cops are like in their home late at night, and they're like, "We're taking you away for your own safety to get you a mental health checkup."
And they didn't know how to defend themselves.
They're like, "I only need protection from you." Right. And the cops take them out of their house.
Yeah, and
they put them in handcuffs.
Yeah, and there was a man that got a forced. There's a video of a man going around who got a forced vaccination. There's a lot of stuff going around.
Yeah, people getting separated from their. There's one of the woman getting separated from her kid and arrested, and there's a man getting separated from his kid.
Yep.
Like there's all kinds of stuff going on right now. People are, because we're in a state of emergency, they're using this. Now they just have more excuses to do stuff.
Right.
Like
and I don't want to go into fear, because I know a lot of you are watching this stuff and tracking this stuff and sharing this stuff on the page. And if you're here, you have an awareness of it. Okay. So I don't want to go into downward spiral fear.
Right. If you're here's the thing. If you are afraid,
yes.
If you're in any kind of fear, it's only because you're not prepared.
Right. We need to
prepare. It's only because you haven't been preparing for years or decades, Right. So, get prepared while we can still go outside.
Yeah.
Get prepared while we can still get guns.
Yeah.
Get prepared while we still have internet and can, at least do online tactical trainings or know how to use your gun, know how to defend yourself.
Yeah. If you're in a space where you can get a gun and learn how to use it. I really recommend that. One of the biggest things, if you study in history, is that one of the first things they do is they will disarm, right? It's one of the first things, and it's already happening in Canada. You're going to happen in different places. It happened in Nazi Germany before the takeover. This is history, and it happened. You can research history. There are many times throughout history when there were, communist or fascist or Nazi or whatever takeovers.
They make an excuse.
And they make an excuse for disarming. And it's one of the first things that will happen. It's very, very historical. So you want to
just take your guns. They make something happen.
They make something
so that
happen.
people say, "Please take my guns."
Well, it's
okay.
problem, reaction, solution. This is always their thing. It's problem, reaction, solution, divide and conquer, right? This is what they do. So yeah, know your rights. Please contact a constitutional lawyer or equivalent in your area. I know not everyone here is in the US. And get a consultation, have them on call, know what your rights are, and know.
Call them as soon as the police show up.
And know, yeah, have them on call and know what you would say and just prepare. And, you know, maybe you'll never have to deal with it, but.
And here's the thing, it might not just be while you're at your house. It might be while you're out. It might be while you're out protesting. You know,
Right.
You may have, like I was saying last time, you all are the ones with the information. You're the ones with the truth, and you're the ones with the leadership training and the voice and the mission, right? And so, like I was saying last time, be the one to grab the megaphone. You know, so if something happens out there, you know, you want to know you're protected and you're prepared, and you know, let your lawyer know, like, I got a big mouth and I got a big mission, and you know, I'm going to keep you on speed dial.
Yeah, and the other thing I just recommend is, you know, also even study down to, you know, depending on where you're at, study your legal representatives, study your governor, study your mayor, study like what's their agenda. You know, like if you're in the US, again, AG Abar has put out, and this is, you know, through the White House, right, has basically put out a thing saying, look, we're going to defend the people that are defending themselves against the governors and things like that are going against the constitutional rights. Like wherever you are, you want to read like, what are my rights? And you really want to do your research and know who you're up against. You want to know your governor, where is their stance on this? Your mayor, the judges in your area. You know, you want to see what's going on in your area and be aware. And again, you know, I've been trying to post as many of the petitions and things like that are going around in the group. If you see a petition, I think there's 2 posted in the group right now against the Bill 6666. What a lovely name. They just love their sixes, right? I mean, there's just, now you're trying to hide it. It's like almost comical.
Pick a side.
You know,
They're
you got Melinda Gates on, you know, I don't know how you saw the meme going around with Melinda Gates with the upside down cross. And then you've got Kaylee, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but the secretary, right? The press secretary for the president with her cross on. I mean, it's just like, this is getting, it's just, they're not even hiding it anymore. But yeah, you know, what can we do? We need to know what our rights are, and we need to know how to defend and protect ourselves. And the other thing that I would say is that depending on where you are, if you're feeling, because I'm talking with more and more people that are just feeling an impulse, like I need to move. You know what? I'm reading the writing on the wall. I'm seeing where this is going. I need to move. If you're one of those people, again, a lot of Canadians that are like,
us 5.5 years ago.
It was us 5.5 years ago. I'm seeing some people getting it now. I've got Canadian friends, especially people in California. I need to move. I don't like where this is headed. You know, when this lets up, when and if this lets up, and I believe it may let up in some areas, okay? The other thing that I would love for you to do is to start to think about, if you're feeling that impulse to move, where would you go? Where would you go, and how would you move if you needed to move quickly? If you had that window of opportunity and you wanted to move, where would you go? Where would you go? I think everybody should be thinking about these things and have a plan, because you know, if you've read Agenda 2030, if you looked at the Rockefeller Foundation thing, like you want to start thinking about where this is all headed, you know? And I mean, I can just share with you guys, you know, why we moved to Costa Rica, why we choose Costa Rica 5.5 years ago.
Rowan asks where I really have that sense. Any ideas? How do you all research this?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I looked for in Costa Rica. And some of you may be called to Costa Rica and some of you may not be called there. Okay?
So Jen felt Costa Rica right off the bat. And my logical, you know, God told her, you're supposed to move to Costa Rica. She came out of meditation. She told me, we're supposed to move to Costa Rica, right? I thought we were living in our dream home. I thought we were going to be there forever. I didn't know we were going to move. I didn't want to move. I was very comfortable, like Adam in the Garden of Eden. And Jen comes out and says, we're moving to Costa Rica. And my logical mind said, okay, well, I'm sure I could see moving out of the US. Why don't you look everywhere in the world? You know, so she looked in New Zealand, Iceland, Hawaii, Bali, Peru, Nicaragua, Panama,
I do quite a bit of research.
even other places in the U.S. You
Yeah.
know, New Mexico, Sedona, right? We looked all over the place, and
Mhm.
Costa Rica. We were both like, yeah, you're right. It's
We were both-
definitely Costa
We
Rica.
were both called there. Yeah.
So why did you?
Yeah, why Costa Rica? You know, there's a number of reasons that we were called to Costa Rica. One was some of the basics were, you know, private clean water source. So like our particular property, 6th cleanest water source on the planet, private water. We've got private water.
Comes straight out of the ground.
That is actually, you guys,
Year-round.
a huge, 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 huge value. And I
Not
was
coming from the city, coming straight out of the ground to every tap in our resort.
Yep. So it's something to really, really, really look for, honestly. And it's non-fluoridated water. It's clean. We were really called there because, you know, again, like our particular property, 1,000 mature fruit trees on the property, private garden on the property, #1 agricultural region in all of Central America. Things grow year round. Pretty much you throw it out, you throw a seed outside and it grows. And that literally happens in our backyard. Like the kids will be rinsing off a plate, throw a tomato plant, and next thing you know, we've got a tomato growing out of nowhere.
In the middle of our driveway.
Just out of, it's just like
oh, look,
like
we
I
got a
didn't even
tomato.
plant this thing and there's like tomatoes growing on it. So it's like living in the Garden of Eden. But beyond that, you know, some of the things that we really loved was actually the fact that it does not have a military, and that it doesn't have all this bloodshed and all this warfare and things like that.
Of war.
The
doesn't have
karma, it doesn't
terrorism.
have it's not
Nobody-
dealing with all of that.
Nobody's picking any fights with Costa Ricans.
Right,
Costa Ricans are very peaceful. They're very friendly.
right. The skies are clean. That was one of the first things I noticed. The
No
chemtrails
chemtrails.
were driving me nuts. I can't even breathe properly in the U.S. So the air is super
Yeah,
clean
the first thing we did when
and
we got
super
here,
pure.
well, after a couple of weeks, and we're all like, oh my God, it's the air quality.
The air
and so I went
quality
and
is
spent
horrible.
almost $700 on like the best air filter that I could buy.
Yeah. And one of the things I also love, you know, Nicole's asking about vaccines. Here's the thing. One of the things I also really love about Costa Rica, I'm just going to speak from personal experience, okay? I don't do a lot of bringing my kids into the doctor anyways. We have our own, you know, private medicine, and we know how to take care of ourselves. And we have a really, really great doctor on call, okay? But that being said, I have brought my kids into a doctor that we know really, really well. He also comes in, he's the one that does the IVs for us. So he'll come in and do, you know, the vitamin C and the, all the nutrient packs for us. He does the IVs and he'll do them at Synergita. He's really, really great. And I have brought our kids into him. And one of the things I loved is I have not once, not even once, had him ask, are your kids vaccinated, or to try to vaccinate my kids. You know, the first thing that happens, or at least it happened for me when I was living in California, is that, you know, I would go in and, you know, bring the kids in and just get grilled. I mean, I had doctors send me away telling me, you know, never to come back because I wasn't vaccinating my kids, right? We do, you know, Costa Rica is a small country. It's about the size of West Virginia. We do have a lot of political connections, including our lawyer and very good friend who's really deeply involved on our project. So we, you know, there's quite a bit of,
So,
you know, connections that we have with it as well.
So then
Yeah.
also, you know, the reason that we picked the mountains instead of the beach is because there's basically a highway going from Nicaragua all the way down to Panama, all the way straight through.
Mhm.
And, you know, Nicaragua has tanks, Panama has tanks. If there's any kind of war, that's where they're going to be,
Mhm.
is by the beach. We're about 60 minutes from the beach up in the mountains.
Right.
And so, you know, we're protected up there.
And also there's no addresses. So it's like, it's a whole different world, you guys. We don't even have an address. Like, it's like, if I wanted to, you know.
Yeah. So this is just a few of the reasons why we picked this, you
Yeah.
know, why we picked Costa Rica.
It's
and
very, very safe.
why we chose to be up in the mountains instead of by the beach. We also chose the southern half of Costa Rica
Mhm.
because anything north, including Nosara and La Fortuna and Arenal, all those tourist spots up there, it's a drought half the year. You know, 3 to 6 months out of the year, it's a drought,
Right.
and waterfalls are dried up.
Right. And
and
we've got just water
The
year
springs
round.
are dried up. Yeah,
Right.
our waterfalls go in year round. Same thing by the beaches. It rains a lot less, and the waterfalls dry up half the year.
Yeah.
And so,
And again, one of the things I love about Costa Rica, and I've spoken about this before, and Costa Rica is not perfect. I don't know that anywhere on this planet is perfect, quite honestly. But one of the things I do love is that, you know, and I've spoken about this before, is that with Costa Ricans, if El Presidente passes something, if something gets passed in their government, I've seen them do this more than once, okay? Something gets passed, the Costa Ricans don't like it, they just shut down. They don't go to school, they don't go to work. They shut down the country, and they just, you know, you'll see a few people peacefully protesting in the streets. Most of them just hang out and do this, and they don't care. They're not owned. They're not owned. And that's, I think, a really, really
and
huge
they have
thing.
a collective,
not
there's like a
owned.
collective truth there where
There
they're like,
is.
it's like,
When they decide on something, they're like, nope, can't make me do it. Like they don't care.
very
They've got nothing to lose. They've got nothing. They own their homes outright. And most of them, when they do own their home, they own it outright. And, you know, they don't have the debt that we have and stuff like that. So it might be small, but, you know, so anyways, I'm just sharing with you because that's why we chose what we chose. And we chose it really deliberately, and we chose it with very clear intention. And I think it's an important time to be looking at these things. You know, some of you might be called to Costa Rica. Some of you might be like, I'm not called there. That's fine. But I would really encourage you that if you're feeling an impulse to move from where you are, that to start doing some real research and start looking into these things.
It's time for action.
It's time for action.
The time for collecting information over the last several decades is done. It is time for fast action.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you're you know, if you're called to move out of the country, wherever you're in, you know, we've lived in Costa Rica for 4.5 years. We can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, we love it.
We've literally, we bought this resort so that we could operate in a time like this. And, you know, we've been blessed because this is our business model. Our business model had the future in plan and in focus. And this is what we've been working towards. And so business for us is actually really good right now.
It's been,
you know,
great.
we're about to close a $1.2 million deal. Contracts went out today. They may already be signed right now while I'm on this call. And, you know, we've sold 18 homes over the last 2.5 years because people are like, oh, so you've already done all the work, right? And so, you know,
and it doesn't mean we haven't been through hard times too, because we really, really have. But God's really been providing for us.
So
through
anytime
this.
you're gonna, you know, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to create their own community too. Now is not the time to get those lessons. Now is not the time to go through the hard times.
I would not recommend starting
Now's not
something
the time to
right
try
now.
to figure it
I
out.
wouldn't recommend it right now in the middle
Now's
of
the time to get a place, hunker down, and like, you know, make sure you have a garden, make sure you've got clean food,
and
clean air, and clean water.
I would say think about who you want to band up with too. You know, I wrote about this earlier this week too. You know, if you've got
who's your community?
if you've got Christians in the area, I mean, honestly, as I'm seeing more and more of these petitions and lawsuits and things like that, a lot of them are headed by Christians. There's a lot of Christians waking up. And I'm calling them the awakened Christians. The awakened activist Christians are powerful. And so it's, you know, again, you want to think about who you can team up with too.
Yeah, it was funny. Fizz said the other day, he was like, I see what Ben and Jen are doing. They're allying with the Christians. He's like, that's a smart move. You know, there's strength in numbers. And in community and in support and in collective focus. So
Yeah.
All right. Should we take some questions?
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions or anything we can support you with? Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see what this is. You may have planned to chat more about HB 6666. I'm on board with having a plan. What do you think the chances are of this bill actually being signed by Trump? And it still has to pass the House and the Senate before that. In light of that, Oregon is already hiring employees to do contact tracing. Not sure if it's all and one of the same. Here's the thing. Hopefully, Trump can.
Right, and that's what we're praying for.
Change everything.
Right, that's what we're praying for.
We don't know. He may be part of the plan. I have no idea.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to emphasize too. Okay,
there's a few different things at play, and I think there's some really important things to look at. And I'm just going to say what I believe, and I may not have all the pieces. I think here's what I'm seeing. I think it's important for all of us to just share what we're getting and just be in our truth when we're in it. And I might have more information or change something next week. Okay. But from my perspective right now, from the actions in general that I've seen Trump taking, it's getting clearer and clearer to me. Yeah, if Trump's part of the plan, we're all screwed. I agree with that. We are all totally.
No, we're not,
but,
because we can't look to Trump to save us.
Okay, but just
we
hold
can
on.
do this.
Hold on. I know, but I also hear what is being said. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I can. I was on a train of thought, and I'm saying if I know what you're saying too. I don't want to. We need to rise up either way. But okay. Here's what I want to say about all of what you just asked, because I've got like 10 different things I want to say right now. Okay. And I know you do too.
Go.
Okay. So number one is tracking what he's been doing and the moves that he's been making. To me, so far, shows me that he's on the good guy side. Okay. Because he's pushed against the WHO. He's defunded it. He's taken back the Federal Reserve. These are huge moves, you guys. He's saying defend your constitutional rights. He's allowed us to keep our guns. That's big. He has not disarmed our country. That's big. That's actually huge. It's actually huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Okay.
Yeah.
Massive. Trudeau's trying to disarm his country. Trump is not. And honestly, I mean, even just on Easter, he said this was one thing, but it spoke volumes to me. Honestly, you guys, on Easter, he said, watch this particular pastor on Easter. I want you guys to watch this. And so I said, wow, this is interesting. I feel like he's sending a message. And so on Easter, I watched our Easter service at our non-denominational church that I love. And then I said, we've got to watch this. I want to see what he's doing. And what was interesting to me, so I turn on the feed, and it's a church in Texas, okay? And it is a mega church. And oh my God, it's one of the churches that I don't know, it probably had like at least 1,000 people in it. I don't know, but I mean, it was jam packed, okay? Like the choir had hundreds of people in it. And I went, oh, he's saying stand up for your religious freedom. He's saying
was empty.
Your religious freedom is essential, okay? Now, those are all things to me that tell me, like, again, unless this is all part of some great, crazy master plan that I'm not aware of, which I'm open to hearing, okay? But just tracking some of these different things that he is, really taking a stand for, I tend to think he's on the good guy side. Now, that being said, I also think it's really important to look at, he only has so much power. And we're on the brink of I would say we've already got basically a civil war in our own country, okay, essentially, but we're on the brink of like a full out civil war in our own country. This is serious, what's going on, right? Flynn's essentially is exonerated, I guess not maybe official yet, but with him being exonerated, that basically puts 50 plus people, including Obama, in arrests, right? This is serious. This is a big, big, big deal.
And
so
Hillary,
and I mean, it's like this is domino. Biden. I mean, there's 160,000, I think, sealed indictments in our country right now. 160,000. And this is on pacer.gov website. This is not conspiracy theory. This is on pacer.gov. There's an average of 1,000 sealed indictments per year, right? This is crazy. So the reason I'm sharing all of this is also, and what I've been hearing at least, is that this Bill 6666, lovely name that it is, they've spent, I think, $100 billion, like $100 billion? Billion?
Somebody look up that number.
Look it up, okay? I don't know what it is.
I know it's a lot.
I'm hearing it's a lot, okay? If my facts are wrong, forgive me. I'm not a fact person. I'm just not. Feel free to fact check me. Just don't Snopes me, okay? But my point is, like, they're pushing this, and they're pushing this really hard, and there's a war going on. So I think it's really important I do believe Trump's on our side, but I also think it's really important to look at, like, we still have to rise up as a people. Like, we still have to stand up. We still, I saw something earlier this week, I think that, 3,000 churches banded together in California and they said, look, we're gonna go back to service, you know? And anybody who's doing that is, yeah, Trump cannot do this alone. That's exactly
what I was gonna
He
get at as
can't
soon as
do it
Jen started
alone.
talking.
He can't do it alone. Forgive me, you're probably gonna say the same thing, but yeah, there's only so much power that he has. And the truth is that the power has actually always been with the people, and that we need to rise up. And, you know, any time in our history, if you look at the history, right, at the you know, when the anti-slavery movement or women's suffrage movement, these were basically small groups of people. This was not the majority. It was small groups of people who were really committed and banded together and unified toward a cause. That was what created real change. And then, yeah, we have Abe Lincoln leading, or Susan B. Anthony leading, or whatever, or Martin Luther King leading, exactly. But it was still the people that rose up and unified and banded together that created the movement. Yeah, so that's what I have to say.
Yeah,
about that.
and Trump can't do it alone. Like,
He
this is the thing.
can't.
No president can do it alone. And the amount of pressure that he's under right now is a lot. So
No, and the amount of death threats.
Jen and I are working.
Yeah.
You know, we are working under the presumption, and you know, we're praying that he is doing the right thing, and because there is a ton of evidence for that. And you know, if let's say he just arrests some corrupt officials, some corrupt politicians. You know, let's say he arrests Hillary and Obama, and all their crimes come out. Okay, cool. They're still puppets.
Right.
They're just puppets.
Right.
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 We've got to go to the very top, and we've got to make sure not to just, you know, like, these would be little victories,
No.
you know, that we can celebrate, but we can't say, okay, good, now we can all go home.
No.
We've got to remember. We've got to remember that, you know, at the top there are trillionaires. There are trillionaires at the top that need to come down as well.
Right, and if they aren't taken out, the puppets will be replaced.
And there's the
they
Pope.
keep replacing the
There's
Vatican.
the three popes. There's the
Right,
Queen of
they're
England.
right, that's the thing, is the Pope at the front, right? The white Pope is not even, it's the black Pope and the gray Pope behind him, right? It's the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Pasteurs and the 13 original bloodline families. I mean, you gotta go all the way to the top.
They've all got to go down.
They're all, yeah.
And every single one of them have to go down. And this was part of the video that I said that I made. You know, it was about an hour-long video I did about, we've got to take down the pedophiles.
Yeah.
We've got to take down the pedophiles in power, and we have to take down every single one of them. And we've got to take down every single politician, every single Hollywood celebrity, every singing group. And I mean, anybody who has any evidence against them around, you know, the pedophilia stuff,
And these really
and the
dark satanic rituals and adrenochrome stuff. I mean, this is,
they all have to
it's
go.
all got to go. Yeah.
Marina Abramovic, you know, all these guys, they all have to go. Every single one of them have to go.
No.
And, you know, so we can't just, you know, what we've got to do is we've got to use the people that are being arrested right now, and then have, you know, we've got all the evidence, you know, we've got all the names, we've got pretty much everyone. We know who they are.
Right.
You know, it's all well documented. You know,
It's more, honestly, right now, it's so much more. Every time I meditate and every time I pray and every time I tap in, it has really so little to do with the fact that the evidence isn't there or anything like that. It's that we still don't have enough people awake and aware. That
we don't have enough
there's
people supporting.
We don't have enough people aware.
So
that's the problem.
Yeah. So you know, the thing about, you know, Trump can't do it alone. It's got to be us demanding it, and it has to be like those of us that have the truth. Those of you that have the truth, we've got to be loud about it.
Yep.
And then that truth is going to affect your friends and the people that are looking to you
Mhm.
and the people that you don't know are looking to you, or maybe they're not looking to you until you start speaking your truth. Then they start paying attention.
It's right. I'm
then it
filling
affects
out
them.
like the Trump surveys, like all these Trump surveys, and then I'm like writing in, and I'm like, make the arrest,
Tell them what you want.
storm. I'm ready now. No vaccines, no forced
Tell 'em what you
mandations,
want.
unfund this. No, we got it.
Tell 'em what you want.
They're asking
Tell
for
'em.
it, right? Thanks. Nicole's doing it too.
Tell them
Fiona.
what you want.
Yeah, tell them
Because
what you
here-
want. Rise up.
he cares about ratings. Like
Of course he
that's
does.
like the number one thing I feel like Trump cares about, and that's okay. Great.
And he cares about
Let's
winning
give
the
him-
2020 election.
Let's give him
Yeah.
great ratings if he does these things. You know, like let's give him a trophy for #1 president
And
of all time,
and I
past,
believe
present, and future,
and
and
I
he will
believe-
be if he does this.
And I believe these are things that he wants to do too. I believe these are things that he wants
Yeah,
to
he
do
cares
too.
about his Twitter followers.
He cares
so,
about his Twitter followers.
So send him the love on the Twitter. I'm
Yep.
so serious.
Yep.
Fill them up.
And I mean, Obamagate, you guys, was trending so big,
Oh, talk about that.
right? I mean, Obamagate was trending so big, over, what was it, up to 3.5 or something, and then they knocked it down to
Yeah,
like
on Mother's Day.
1.5 or
On
something.
Mother's Day,
right?
Obamagate was the #1 trending topic above Mother's Day. On
Yeah.
Mother's Day.
Yeah,
You know, and like he's doing big things right now.
yeah. There is a lot moving, and that was a pretty big. We're in spiritual warfare too.
So somebody said, what would it look like? Mia said, what would it look like to move to Costa Rica or another country? I don't know about another country, but during this current time. But what I know about Costa Rica is that because of Costa Rica's relationship with the U.S., like they're really gringo friendly.
They love gringos. They're very welcoming.
And so really,
yeah,
you can go to Costa Rica, just say you're a visitor, you're visiting, and you can stay for up to 3 months
Mhm.
just with a passport. You
Mhm.
know, you don't need to do any extra paperwork.
Mhm.
You just fly in with a passport. They ask you what you're doing. They stamp your passport, and now you've got 3 months.
Mhm.
And after that, you got 3 months, and in 3 months, if you don't want to go back to the U.S., you just take a quick drive to the
You
border.
just border run.
They stamp your passport. You go shopping for a minute in Panama, for a few hours. You get some fun clothes and swimsuits and sandals and cowboy hats.
We
and
go
boots
shopping in Panama
and
for
then-
the day and
yeah,
then just head back.
we make a day
It's
trip out
no
of
big
it.
deal.
We bring the kids. They stamp all our passports. We come back. We've got another 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's when we feel like staying in the country.
And there have been,
Usually we're flying around
Usually we
speaking,
fly.
in the U.S. and
Yeah.
all over the place.
and there have been people that
There's
have been
nothing like
there have
Costa
been
Rica,
people,
man.
some people are there. If you're there a while, you might want to, become a resident or whatever. But there have been people that have literally been doing, they just do the border run. They've been there 20, 30 years
Yeah,
doing the
30
border run.
years.
They're like, yeah, I just do the border run. I love it. There are people who do my shopping and come back, no big deal. It's like part of their routine. So it's really easy to
Oh,
do.
and this is another thing that Amy's talking about. So she's talking about Q. So now Q is a phenomenon that I looked at a couple years ago, and I was like, there was a prediction that they made, and I was like, okay, well, if they make the prediction, then they're true. If they don't, they're not. So they missed the prediction. I was like, okay. And so I didn't, I just kind of eliminated it from my consciousness for 2 years. But all these proofs are coming out.
I love Q. I think it's
So
great.
the other day, so with the
I think
Obamagate
it's
thing,
awesome.
Q posted, hey Trump, can you post
It was basically
Obamagate?
like Q plus.
So
or whatever.
Obamagate came from Q.
Yeah,
Q
and then he posted it.
Q posted, hey Trump, can the president post Obamagate? Show support, and then Trump 2 hours later posts Obamagate,
Yeah.
which is funny.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fascinating. I'm seeing more and more military. I had more military. It's
Shoot my
fascinating.
hearts.
I've had more military people friending me lately, and I'm seeing more and more military guys speaking up, military Marines and stuff, and going, "No, Q's real."
There's
Yeah.
Christina.
Yeah, I'm seeing it more and more. People look. If you're not military, this might not make sense to you, but trying to say this is a psyop is stupid, and trying to say that it's just somebody at random on their computer you've got to be a moron. So I'm just seeing more and more and more on it, and I think the biggest thing that I've seen is that some of the confusion is there's a big difference between what Q actually puts out on QMAP Pub versus, and then everybody, you know, the QAnons were all like sitting there trying to, what does it mean,
Trying to
right?
decipher it.
Yeah,
They think they know what it means. They make a prediction. It's
Right, but you know, that's okay. That's like part of it. But I think that's
they're
where,
the ones trying to figure it out.
but
Good for them.
well, exactly, we're all trying to figure it out. But my point is that what I feel like the main thing that's going on is that you've got the QAnons trying to figure it out, and then they're posting, and some of that's misinformation because they don't know. And so now you've got all these people debunking it, and of course, plus MSM is all over it, you know. But if you just look at the Q map itself, it's a whole different thing, right?
They're
It's,
going
it's absolutely
down.
fascinating. Yeah.
Fiona says there was another post today about children being rescued.
Children being rescued, thank
Was
God.
that which country was that in?
Yeah, which country was that? I also saw the Vatican had a earthquake a couple days ago. That gets me excited.
Hey, Fiona, let's see. Hey Fiona.
I hope it's not an earthquake because I'm feeling sad. Yeah.
So it was a post today that it said, I mean, I was digging into the research because there's a lot of stuff that they posted, but I went into, they had like, I started to read with the little time that I have. I like do as much as I can. But I started to read in regards to, I went to a military, there was a couple of posts that you could go to where there was a link to a military link, and it showed how since 2013 they've been training, and they've been training for under tunnels and everything. And so like
underground warfare.
Yes.
They spent billions training military for underground warfare.
And that's real. That's
and
absolutely real.
Why else would
the
they
title
know
I
how to
think
do
was
underground warfare?
I can't remember how many numbers or how many kids were supposedly, you know, released. I don't know if someone else saw it.
I've seen different numbers coming up, but I've seen in the 30,000s. I mean, I don't know.
That's the number that I thought, but I didn't want to I was like, I don't know.
Right. And exactly. It's hard to know because nothing's coming out yet, you know, official, but I'm seeing same thing. I'm seeing more and more and more being released. It's gotta be in the thousands. I feel very strongly it's in the thousands. I'm seeing more and more and more different, you know, not mainstream yet, but different sources saying, yes, this is real. You know, everything from nurses releasing it to different people that, yes, my friend's involved in this or whatever. And I'm hearing more and more people say, yes, this is happening. Yes, it's real. Yes, it's way more horrific than anyone imagined. And no, we cannot announce this officially publicly yet because it's too much for everybody to deal with. That's basically what I've been hearing. You know?
They also showed the maps underneath, you know, and I mean, there are so many tunnels. I mean, it is absolutely insanity.
And honestly, you know what was really interesting about that, Fiona, too,
Thanks,
is
Fiona.
before, and I heard someone speaking about this too, but when I was meditating on it, and when I was on the floor for days for a while, just bawling, because I feel like that was when they were in New York really hardcore. That was just my gut on it. But I was saying, I remember saying, I was like, so I feel like this is way worse than anybody, like this is beyond. And then I said, you know, and I also feel like they're almost getting lost down there. Like I feel like they had a map, and that's what I was feeling, right? I was like, I feel like they had a map, and then I feel like they're getting lost down there, and I feel like there are tunnels where they weren't expecting them to be tunnels. And like, I felt it, and I said that. Like, I said that psychically. I said that intuitively. And then I heard somebody else speaking about it, and I said, you know what? I believe it. Like, I believe it because I'd already said it. I'd already said that. That's what I was intuitively feeling. That's what I was sensing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's crazy.
So Nicole says, I've done a public effort almost every day in Santa Cruz with a whole group of people, and they've mostly been thwarted. So I'm guessing that means like speaking up or you know, doing you know, some kind of protest. That's cool.
That's okay.
It's tiring. Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Now looking to move to the hills with a small group and get as independent as possible. Don't really want to leave the country because your kid's dad's here. It makes sense, but
I understand.
it does feel sketchy to stay here. What to do? You're really gonna have to use your intuition on this.
Right.
You know, you're
pray,
really, meditate.
ask. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: you want to make sure you're making a you want to make sure you're not making a fear decision.
Right.
To make a higher dimensional decision will be I know I need to do this, even if it's scary,
Mhm.
not I need to do this because I'm scared.
Right,
Never make a fear decision.
right.
Always make a decision of where go where your higher self tells you.
And go where the higher timeline is. You want to think about right now. So 5D is all about what's the highest and best timeline. When Ben and I were on this, 5.5 years ago, we're looking at where do we move and where do we go, we were just like, whoa, that's a higher, clearer, better timeline. So you always want to, you want to move toward that positive, and that's the inquiry you want to be in. God, where, show me where to go. Where's the highest and best timeline? Where can I be of highest and best service? And where can I live the most magnificent life? Because
Where am I supposed to be?
basically we've got two timelines happening simultaneously right now, right? We've got the timeline of 5D positive coming in, and it's like raising. And we're going to see different places on the planet that are, and I've been shown this for so many years, you guys. We're going to see different places on the planet that are going to, that 5D new earth it's rising. It's going to start to come in now. It's going to start to come in. It's going to get stronger. It's going to get more powerful. So 5D positive is coming in. At the same time, 5D negative is also happening, and it's happening in pockets on the planet. And so you really want to tap into where's the new earth going to come in first, and where's the 5D negative going to come in first. And you don't want to be where the 5D negative is, because 5D negative is a dissemination of the old. It's stuff falling apart. It's going to fall apart, and then we'll have the rebuild. I believe we'll have the rebuild. But that's the inquiry you want to be in right now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so if you're in the U.S., I would highly recommend being somewhere up in the hills.
Yeah.
It's really having some space, having some land.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be. I mean, if a nuke's dropped, you don't want to be in the Bay Area. You don't want to be in Los Angeles. You don't want to be in Chicago.
You don't want to be in New York, obviously. Obviously.
We don't know what's going to happen, but we felt the need to be protected from every single possible scenario, including if global warming comes in and the sea level rises and all the beachfront properties are washed out.
Mm-hmm.
We picked our place up in the hills very, very specifically. Jeannie says, help me get Fizz out of New York.
Come back to Costa Rica.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If you're looking at Costa Rica, if you're feeling Costa Rica, we've looked all over Costa Rica. We've looked in every area of Costa Rica, every nook and cranny, and we picked where we're at very specifically.
It's our favorite place. It
For
really is.
lots of very specific reasons. But what I would suggest, if anywhere you're going, if you need to stay in the U.S., start looking at real estate in, just like look at, go online, look at rentals in different locations, and just kind of explore a little bit. What would this feel like? Do some research on the internet about these different locations. Look at the restaurants, look at what's around, how close are the stores. We've even got, actually, as a matter of fact, the reason Jen and I are here in Florida in the first place was because we were buying 12 acres here on
an island.
I'm not going to say where.
Yeah.
It's top secret. But we were starting another project here because there are people that feel the need to be in the U.S.
Right. Not everybody wants to leave.
Not everybody
the
wants
US.
to leave Costa Rica, so we started a new project here on 12 acres.
This is like a very, very people are love their guns here.
And they're so friendly and they're so family
and
oriented.
they're really Christian.
And they're very Christian.
And they're very family oriented.
But in this place where we picked, it's it's about 30 minutes from town. Nobody's ever going to touch this place. There's no reason to be out there. It's all, you go through some farmland and then you're out on this marsh, and it is so gorgeous. These trees are incredible. There's Spanish moss hanging from the trees. I mean, we know how to pick a property. People.
It's a beautiful, there's water and beautiful oak trees and beautiful Spanish trees. It is actually, if you're going to be in the U.S.,
if you have to stay in the U.S., plus Florida's great for tax benefits as well. We moved our corporation here as well.
Yeah.
So we operate out of Florida for the excellent tax benefits.
Yeah.
Lots of good reasons.
Somebody asked about where we are in Costa Rica. Yeah, I mean, our particular property, we're Synergita, Costa
I
Rica.
don't know what the Davidian property means. So no.
So, okay. But yeah, where we are in San Francisco de Cajon, San Isidro, outside of San Isidro.
When will you share about this? We'll share about our project if you message us and are interested in it.
Yeah, just
we're
just
not
send
going
us.
public with it.
Yeah,
right
just send us a PM if you want to know more on either one, that we're sharing about. If you want to know more.
The name of where we are in Costa Rica is the specific name is San Francisco de Cajon, Cajon.
Yeah.
But it's about 30 minutes from up in the hills from what's called San Isidro de General.
And that's what we love about it too. We're about 30 minutes from the fastest growing city in Costa Rica too. So you still have a lot of convenience actually that you don't have in other parts of Costa Rica.
Oops. Oh, Heidi, I'm sorry. I posted that to you privately. I meant to do it to the group. Can you just copy and paste that to the group, Heidi? Thank you. I don't know how it went to you. Sorry. San Isidro de General. We've had about 30 families move to this specific area because Jen and I introduced them to the area.
It's a really great area, and there's so many people. You're seeing people come to the area from Canadians and Europeans, and a lot of people from the U.S. and stuff too are coming to there. One of our neighbors built, I think, what does he have? I don't even know.
$30 million.
I think he spent $30 million
Yeah,
building it. It's probably worth $60 million. He has like a $60 million home. It's just a lot going in the area. It's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Yeah.
So Todd's guess is Texas. No, we're not in Texas. I don't know what you're saying, Nicole. All right. I was going to take my girls on vacation to see my family, but I was thinking and looking at places to come to Florida for vacation instead. Maybe we should come and see you guys. We can talk.
Yeah. Send me. Well, let's message. We'll message. That'd be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great to get some.
That'd be awesome.
The property's not ready to really go public with or anything, but we have purchased it. And we do have home designs, and we can start building immediately. We're just waiting on a few things, but if we have a buyer that comes in immediately, we're ready to go.
Yeah, and Florida's opened up too, which is nice.
Oh yeah, Florida's great. Florida's off the hook, man.
I don't have to wear a mask. I did not have to wear a mask grocery shopping.
We went out.
Today.
We've been going out to restaurants. We've been eating out.
People are really friendly.
The kids are, riding their bikes around the block, and families are walking by. We're hanging out with the families. Everyone's cool around here. Nobody's getting sick.
Yeah, it's fun. We haven't had.
Nobody's in fear.
Yeah,
they've all got there. It's like this. It's like this super beautiful, cool, like middle class neighborhood, and everyone's just comfortable. They got their guns. They're like, I'm good.
Mm.
Cool. Cool. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions about either,
we're in Jacksonville right now.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions about either project
our
or whatever,
property is about 30 minutes from here.
Yep.
By the way, no, I'm not going to say what it's called because that would give away the location.
Just send us a message if you guys want to know more.
It's another hideaway. We got this specifically to be another hideaway for people that either want to get away for some time out of the year. People that have big businesses. And need a hideaway to just go and disappear, for people who.
It is actually a crazy cool location.
People don't want people to know they're there.
Really
people who are famous or.
It's a hideaway.
It's a hideaway. It's going to be behind a big gate.
Yep.
And people are going to wonder. Like, there's other big gates over there, and people are like, "Is that Tim McGraw? I heard Tim McGraw lives here." It's like, well, you'll never know.
I think it's just some very, very well-off lawyer or something, but it's a very, very, very cool. The area is very cool.
Driving around the area.
It's a beautiful area. Yeah, really, it's a magical area.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for being on the part of the mission. You guys,
God bless.
Please keep spreading the word, man. Just post stuff and don't worry about what people think, because I try to think for myself, like, all right, I tried, like, I saw a post a long time ago, like, if you ever wondered what you would have done in Nazi Germany, it's whatever you're doing now.
Right now.
So
That's
that's how
it.
I try to live by.
That's
you know, no matter what, for all the reasons.
Yeah.
That's what I try to live by. And
Yeah.
you know, so like really like kind of use that as a metric for yourself, because you know, this is like we're at a very unique point in time, you know.
Yeah.
We don't want to like get to the end of this and be like, oh man, I wish I would have done something.
I know.
I wish I would have
I
I
always
wish
see
I
things from the
would've-
perspective of my life review,
wish I
and I
would have
was
stood
like,
up sooner.
I was like, I want a really good life review. Like, I feel like it's gonna be like watching a movie of my life, you know, at the end. I feel like it's like
Do I
fun.
feel good about myself?
Yeah.
I do feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Neptune Beach is cool. Neptune Beach is cool. All right, you guys, we love you. Oh, let me
All right,
pull
love
y'all
you.
off
God
of
bless.
unmute. Oh, you're all unmuted. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks for being on
God
the
bless.
journey.
Yeah.
See you next week.
All right, see you soon.